Okay, welcome to my class today. Hope you all are doing well. I'll be teaching the heck out of things again as usual. Your next assignment is a writing assignment over Catcher in the Rye. This writing assignment deals with Holden Caulfield. As you can see, here is the prompt. Holden has many interactions with people throughout Catcher in the Rye, yet he seems to go to great lengths to distance himself from other characters. Discuss 3 ways Holden pushes people away. Give 3 examples and back your examples with quotes and explanation. Okay, first of all, it's going to be a 5-paragraph essay. 1 introductory paragraph, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Another thing you need to know is, again, 3 examples. And I say 3 examples because I want you to put 1 example per paragraph in your paper. Don't just give an example. Explain your example and have a quote to support it. And something that we talk about with quotes that came up in our last paper too is the idea of making the quotes meaningful. They need to have meaning. Don't just throw in a quote that says, Holden pushes people away by calling them names. And then you write down, hi, my name is Holden. That has nothing to do with, that quote has nothing to do with your topic. If you say something like Holden pushes away people by calling them names, then find a quote that epitomizes that and then also explain it. So 3 meaningful quotes in your 3 examples. Okay? As always, you will be graded on your ability to make the good quotes and also to document them. You will document them by putting Salinger, because he's our author, and then whatever page number, page 57. Okay? That's the way you document a quote. Okay? This paper today is the 26th. That's a Thursday. Let's go ahead and make these papers due. I'll give you 2 weekends to work on them. That will make the papers due in April. What do you want, Thursday? You want Thursday of that week? No, I'm going to go with April. Oh, spring break. Oh, right before we go to spring break then. Let's do April 2nd. We have 1 weekend, that's true. But I don't want to hold this over your head over spring break. So let's go with April 2nd. It's an easy paper in the sense that the last paper you wrote was a longer one and asked you to do the compare-contrast. This is an easier one that is shorter. 5 paragraphs. Put the quotes in. What else can I tell you? When we talk about ways that Holden's distancing himself, I'll give you one. Holden, well, actually, you give me one. Give me an example. One way that Holden distances himself. Give me an example of the way Holden distances himself.
When he goes to call people and doesn't.
Okay. How about this one, though? How about when Holden lies? Do you think that you could write a whole paragraph about Holden distancing himself by lying? You can give examples about how he lies. You could maybe talk about, when is the time that Holden lies? On the train with Ernest Morrow's mother and says that his name is Rudolph Schmidt and tells her all these stories. There are numerous times that he lies. Okay? That'd be an easy one to do, where you give some examples of when he lied and give a quote that shows him lying. That's easy. And do 2 more things like that to show how he distances himself. Furthermore, your introduction, as usual with introduction over like a literature situation, you could do an introduction that dealt with the background of the story. Catcher in the Rye is a story by J.D. Salinger depicting the adventures of Holden Caulfield. And you could go through that and explain when the story takes place and what happens. And you could talk a little bit about Holden, and then in the thesis you could say that Holden distances himself, and you could list those 3 ways he distances himself. You could say he distances himself in numerous ways. Whichever you prefer, whichever makes you happier, but have a good, strong thesis. Some of you are still struggling, as I saw in your most recent papers, with coming up with a strong thesis. Some of you still did not have any thesis, which is difficult to do. But you did it. Okay? So I'm going to give you all a piece of paper with this on there, so you will have the topic. You do not need to copy it down, as I see some of you are, but I will give you a copy of this paper, because that's what I do. It's user-friendly. In addition to that, let me go ahead and minimize this and go ahead and put up the rubric. This is the rubric you will be graded on. Oh, I could put it out there for you. Yeah, sure. It's very similar to the way you were just graded on the last essay. You can see that I've got the organization stuff. I've got your topic development. I want to make sure you have your all these parts of your paper. Sentence structure. These ones up here, just to remind you, these ones up here and here, they're out of 3 points for each category or out of 1 point for each category. And then down here, you start out with 5 points. And as I see errors, I mark them off of your page. Like if I see a fragment, I would mark off 1 point, and you'd be getting 4 points instead. That's why these tally marks over here. Hey, it's saving the ink notes. That's great. We really didn't want that. I'm probably going to make, the next thing is the mugs, I'm probably going to make this out of 10 instead of 15. I'll put it out of 10 because it's been 10 on most of your papers. But again, the grammar mistakes and things like that you lose points for. Doing certain things with commas, spelling, your MLA documentation, it all comes out of there. Your total on this paper, 20, it should be about 40 points-ish. Maybe a few more than that, maybe 50, which is a good start to your fourth quarter. Any questions about the paper?
You want the 3 body paragraphs to be about 3 examples and then talk about 3 of the ways he distances himself?
What the question was in terms of the format of the paper, do you want 3 paragraphs in which, how are we going to list the examples and the analysis and the quote? Is that correct? I would like one, for each paragraph, I'd like you to come up with one method that Holden uses to distance himself. One way that Holden Caulfield distances himself is through his use of continual lies. And then you could go through and say, an example. When Holden gets on the train and is confronted with Mrs. Morrow, a mother of one of his students, and then you could go through that story if you wanted to. And you could then give a quote from that encounter and explain that quote. When Holden says this, he is starting off the conversation with a lie, blah, blah, blah. So you set up the situation, describe it, you give a quote, and you explain your quote. But the first thing you do is you establish the way Holden is distancing himself. Holden distances himself through lies. Holden, any other ways Holden distances himself? The unreasonable, he distances himself by looking for unreasonable connections. You could talk about all the people that really he doesn't connect with. All the people that he shouldn't connect with because the Seattle girls are in their 30s or late 20s and he's not going to make a connection with them. The cab drivers who are not really going to sit down and have a drink with him. You could talk about the way he is critical of other people and how he, his sense of, his cynicalness, his criticalness is also does not lend itself to him making connections. Yes? What about the phoniness? Sure, you could talk about the phonies. That'd be a good example. Picking fights, making people hit him or something. Yeah, I mean, he does that with more recent with Stradlater, if you wanted to say that. Call Stradlater a name if you want to say about like how he insults people. I don't know. Yeah.
You just pick one type of way the way he distances himself for all 3 body paragraphs or one?
Good question. Do you pick one way and elaborate in 3 different situations? For example, if your whole paper was about him lying, would you then pick 3 situations in which he lied? No, I'd like to see you pick 3 different ways in which he distances himself and use 1 per paragraph. Although that could work, although you're saying you certainly could write an essay about that. I want to do the analysis this way. Yes, that's exactly what I sold to him. Yes. I'm saying you could do it, but for this essay, I don't want you to do it. Okay, hopefully you all understand what's expected of you, and good luck. Enjoy yourself. Yes.